Hey everyone, ever been judged for how you live your life? Maybe you drive an older car, or you don't wear fancy clothes, and people make assumptions about you. They think they have you all figured out. But what if the quietest person in the room was actually the most powerful? This is a story about hidden wealth, silent confidence, and a reveal that will leave you absolutely speechless. It's a powerful reminder that true success is so secure, it doesn't need to scream for attention. If you're tired of people judging a book by its cover, you are gonna love this one. So get ready for the ultimate humble flex. And hey, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because you are not gonna want to miss this jaw-dropping moment. Let us know in the comments about a time you were underestimated. Now, let's get into the story. The city bus hissed to a stop, its doors folding open with a tired groan. Jason stepped inside, swiping his well-worn transit card with a familiar beep. He found a seat by the window, leaning his head against the cool glass. This was his daily ritual, as regular as the sunrise. To his friends, to pretty much everyone in his life, it was a symbol of his circumstances. To Jason, it was a choice. He shared a modest apartment with 2 roommates, wore jeans and simple t-shirts, and his most prized possession was a vintage record player, not a luxury car. His friends, a group he'd known since college, had all sprinted headfirst into the corporate rat race. They were obsessed with the visible markers of success, the corner offices, the designer labels, the leased German sedans. Their group chat was a constant stream of their achievements. Mike, just closed the Henderson account. Bonus season, here I come. Gonna upgrade the Beamer. Chloe, OMG, you guys, these new Louboutins are killing my feet, but they're so worth it. Hashtag struggle bus Dave, at the airport, off to close the big merger. First class, baby. Jason would usually just reply with a thumbs up emoji, or a nice. He never contributed his own news. They'd long ago decided his life was simple. A little sad, even. They pitied him, and in their own way, they loved him. But they never missed a chance to give him a hard time, to try and light a fire under him. Dude, when are you gonna get a real car? Mike would ask, clapping him on the back. That bus life is for the birds. I don't mind it. Jason would always reply with an easygoing shrug. It's good for the environment. Chloe would chime in. Jason, you're too talented to be stuck in that little graphic design firm. You should be aiming higher. You need to project success to attract success. Jason would just smile. If they only knew. The little graphic design firm was a passion project he consulted for to stay grounded. His real work, the work that consumed most of his time, was done under his full name, Jason Sterling, from his home office, managing the complex global investments of the Sterling Family Trust. His grandfather had founded Aura Airways, one of the world's most luxurious airlines. Jason wasn't just comfortable. He was, by any definition, obscenely wealthy. But he'd seen what that world did to people, the greed, the paranoia, the isolation. He'd chosen a different path. His wealth was a tool, not an identity. The big test of their friendship, and his secret, was coming. Mike was getting married in Bali. It was the destination wedding of the year, at least in their social circle. The group chat was exploding with excitement about flights and resorts. Booked my business class ticket, Dave posted. 12 hours of champagne and legroom. Us too, Chloe added. Can't wait to post from the lounge. Then, the question came, directed at Jason. Hey man, what's your flight info? Maybe we can all meet up at the airport. Jason typed his reply slowly. I'm taking the 7:05 a.m. bus to the airport. Should be there by 8. The chat went silent for a full minute. Then it exploded. The bus? Mike wrote, followed by a string of crying laughing emojis. You're seriously taking the bus to the airport for an international flight? Chloe added. Jason, no. Let me loan you the money for a cab at least. Dude, that's just sad, Dave concluded. Jason didn't respond. He just set his alarm for 6 a.m. The morning of the flight, he did exactly as he said he would. He wheeled his small, practical suitcase to the bus stop. The bus was, as usual, filled with a quiet, tired cross-section of humanity. He found a seat and pulled out a book, perfectly at peace. When he arrived at the bustling international terminal, he saw his friends clustered together near the premium check-in counters. They were easy to spot. Mike in a new, loud Hawaiian shirt, Chloe in a full travel day outfit, Dave looking impatient. They saw him, and the smirks were immediate. He actually did it, Mike laughed, pointing. The bus night arrives. I told you, Chloe said, shaking her head with a theatrical sigh. My offer for the cab still stands for the trip home. Hope you packed a lunch, Dave joked. The food in coach is brutal. Jason just smiled, that same infuriatingly calm smile. I'll manage. You guys checked in yet? Just about to, Mike said, puffing out his chest. Business class line is so much faster. You're gonna be in that economy line forever, man. Actually, Jason said, glancing at his watch. I'm already checked in. My gate is this way. He started walking, not toward the security lines for the commercial gates, but down a long, secluded, and incredibly clean corridor marked private aviation and VIP services. His friends stared, their laughter dying in their throats. Jason? Chloe called out. Security is the other way, buddy. You're going the wrong way. Jason didn't turn around. He just kept walking, confused, and with a creeping sense that something was very off. They followed him. The noisy, crowded terminal fell away, replaced by a hushed, luxurious silence. They passed a discreet desk, where a woman in a pristine uniform greeted Jason by name. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling. Everything is prepared for you." "Mr. Sterling?" They followed him through a set of automatic glass doors that led out onto the sun-drenched tarmac. And there it was. A gleaming snow-white private jet sat on the apron, its stairs lowered. On its tail, the distinct, elegant logo of Aura Airways was emblazoned. A crew of 4, 2 pilots and 2 flight attendants, stood at the bottom of the stairs, smiling warmly. Jason turned to face his friends, whose mouths were hanging open in perfect, synchronized shock. The bus, the simple apartment, the thrift store clothes. It all clicked into a devastating, humiliating picture. "You guys were right," Jason said, his voice calm as he gestured toward the magnificent aircraft. "The bus is for the birds." He turned and walked up the stairs, disappearing into the cabin of his private jet, leaving his friends in a stunned silence on the tarmac, their own business-class boarding passes suddenly feeling utterly insignificant in their hands. The interior of the jet was a sanctuary of cream-colored leather, polished walnut, and impossibly soft lighting. Jason sank into a plush armchair, accepting a glass of orange juice from a flight attendant. He felt a pang of something, not triumph exactly, but a quiet finality. The facade was over. The friendship, as he knew it, was probably over too. He looked out the window. His friends were still standing on the tarmac, a frozen tableau of disbelief. He saw Mike point at the jet, his mouth moving, but no sound made it through the layered glass. Chloe had her hands on her cheeks. Dave was just shaking his head slowly, as if trying to reboot his brain. A ground handler approached them, likely telling them they needed to clear the area. They shuffled away, casting long, bewildered looks back at the Aura Airways jet. The flight was smooth and silent. There was no drone of engines, just a gentle hum. He had a video call with his grandfather, updating him on a new sustainable fuel initiative they were investing in. This was his real world, a world of quiet impact, not loud consumption. Meanwhile, on a commercial airliner somewhere over the Pacific, the atmosphere was anything but quiet. Mike, Chloe, and Dave sat in their business-class pods, the promised champagne tasting like ash in their mouths. "Aura Airways," Chloe whispered, finally breaking the tense silence that had enveloped them since takeoff. His grandfather founded it. "Sterling, how did we not put that together? He never talked about his family." Mike retorted, his face flushed with a mixture of anger and shame. "He always changed the subject. Because we never let him," Dave said, staring out the window at the endless clouds. "We were so busy telling him how to live his life, we never bothered to ask him about it. We just assumed we were ahead of him." The truth was a cold, uncomfortable shower. They had spent years feeling superior, offering him pity and unsolicited advice, when all along he was operating on a level of wealth and security they couldn't even comprehend. He hadn't been falling behind, he had been opting out. Their laughter at the bus stop wasn't just rude, it was profoundly foolish. "All those times we made jokes about his clothes, his apartment," Chloe murmured, her cheeks burning with humiliation. He just smiled. Mike said, the memory of Jason's calm, unbothered expression now seeming like a mask for profound pity. "He was probably laughing at us the whole time." The rest of the flight passed in a grim haze. The luxury they had been so excited about felt cheap and performative. It was a product they had bought to show off. Jason's jet wasn't a product, it was an heirloom. The difference was staggering. The wedding in Bali was beautiful, but the dynamic was broken. They tried to approach Jason, to stammer out apologies, but the ease was gone. He was polite, kind even, but a wall had been erected. He had shown them who he was, and in doing so, he had revealed who they were. On the return trip, Jason was gone before they even arrived at the airport. They flew home in coach, having cashed in their business-class tickets in a fit of self-flagellation, a silent and miserable group. A week later, a package arrived for each of them. No return address. Inside, nestled in elegant foam, was a single, solid silver cufflink. It was weighty, exquisitely made, and engraved with a simple, powerful message. True wealth is silent. There was no note. None was needed. It was a final lesson from the friend they had lost. They had learned that the loudest person in the room is often the most insecure, and that the man on the bus might just own the plane you're flying on. Jason hadn't needed to prove his worth to them. He had only needed to live his truth. And in the end, that was the most powerful statement of all.